Hello friends, Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time. And today I'm going to be making a modification to a flannel shirt sleeve. Any sleeve that has a button style cuff is the type of sleeve I'm talking about modifying. So if it's a flannel shirt or maybe a twill shirt, anything that's long sleeved and has the button cuff. Now why would you want to modify it? Well, a lot of us like wearing shirts like this. In the wintertime, I like the flannel. In the summertime, I like the lighter weight shirts. But I always like to roll up my sleeves. And we all know, those of us who like to roll up our sleeves, especially when we're working, canning, doing things like that, having to wash our hands a billion times a day, we don't want our sleeves down to here and falling into everything. And so we tend to sometimes have these shirts that fit either too tight or, you know, to roll up leaving buttoned, but then you unbutton it and it's too loose to roll up and have it stay in place. So I came up with this modification. It's just something I came up with. I'm sure other people have had the same idea. I'm the only one that I know has done this. So I figured, in case no one else has heard of this or thought of this themselves, I want to show you what I do. It's a super simple, quick fix. All you need to do is get yourself some buttonhole elastic like this. I bought a whole roll of it because I was doing a whole bunch of shirts and I needed it for a few other things as well. It's just super handy to have. So I'll link below to where I get this because I bought this on Amazon as usual. Remember, we live remotely, so a lot of times it's just easier for me to order things on Amazon and have it delivered. And so yeah, I'll link to this below because it was a pretty good price. And then I like to cut off about that much, so there's 3 buttonholes on there. It's totally up to you how much you want to cut off, but make sure you cut it right in the center between, like even if you want to do 4, make sure you cut it off in the center between the last buttonhole you want to use and then the next one on the roll. And I'm going to do 3 because that's all I need. In fact, this shirt the sleeves are perfect. I don't really even need to modify it. I'm just doing this so I can show you. And besides, I wanted to thank Sherry out there for sending this to me. She knows who she is. I think she thought I could use the fabric. So she sent me this, you know, because it's just a great flannel, a great plaid. But I love the fit and comfort and feel of it so much that I'm just keeping it to wear, and I've been wearing it a lot. She's probably already seen me wear it in one of the videos. But anyway, so this is the one I'm going to modify so that she could see that and know that I appreciate this. Thank you so much. And what I'm going to do is get started. So I'm just going to clip right there between the 2 buttonholes. And keep in mind, the one thing I want to say before you cut that is you're going to be sewing across this 3rd buttonhole if you're only doing that much. So you're only going to have 2 usable buttonholes. So you may want to cut 4 or 5 holes down. So you can't count that last buttonhole. You could, depending on how you sew it, but I like to make sure things are pretty secure. And so what you do is right there, right here is where you're going to sew this on. And I personally don't worry about the color of it or even the color of the thread, simply because I always wear it rolled up. No one's ever going to see it anyway. Now I'm going to bring the camera in closer so you can get a better view of what I'm doing here. Okay, first you want to make sure that you have your zigzag set on the widest setting. You don't have to go really tight. I go somewhere in the middle, kind of a moderate tightness there, because I'm going to go over it again and again. But you can also set your zigzag on, you know, pretty much a satin stitch if you prefer. So I'm going to put this right here, and actually I could use this 3rd one by the way this is. I want to leave this buttonhole open in case I decide to use it. Now keep in mind, if you decide to do this, when you go to, if you decide to ever wear it down like this and unrolled, and then just buttoned at the cuff, you're gonna have this chunk of elastic hanging off the way I'm doing it here. And it doesn't matter how you sew it on there. So you gotta kind of keep that in mind. You may not want to modify it unless you know for sure it's something that you're always going to wear rolled up where no one's going to see it. So here's why you want to make sure, one reason why you want to make sure you leave enough here. And that is so you can use all 3 of these if you want, or you can even move it down if you want to make sure it's more secure and sew it here. Okay, it just depends on how you want to do it. If you put it just right, you might even be able to still use this buttonhole through here. But again, when you button it, it's going to button this way, and you're going to have this chunk of elastic hanging off. Now, another option you could do is put a couple more buttons on here on the cuff to button that down. But then you might want to look for an elastic that's going to match the shirt really well. Now, I don't think this would really show all that badly, but again, this is nothing that's going to show anyway because I always wear it rolled up. I'm going to go ahead and put this down here that far. I like things very secure. I like to have a little extra hanging over when I'm talking about anything that's going to take some stress. So now I just put that on there. And then I go back and forth over it several times, forward and reverse. Again, you could just set it on a satin stitch, which would mean you would set your stitch all the way back here to even 0. And then what you're going to do is it's going to go very slowly, and you may have to guide it along. But I prefer kind of doing just sort of a medium tightness and just going back and forth, making sure that is not going to go anywhere. Okay, and then you can just play with your, if you wanted to, you could even cut it longer, and if you decide you don't need that last buttonhole and you would never use it, then you can just cut it off. It's no big deal. And then another thing I recommend to do, just to be, again, just to keep it secure, to make sure your elastic, this elastic, I've never had issues with it unraveling, but it would still be a good idea to throw that zigzag stitch back and forth over that very end piece, just to keep it from unraveling if that's possible. But this particular elastic has held up very good for me. I don't think I stitched along the edge of a lot of the ones I have, and it's not been a problem at all. Okay, so right now I've got it on the loosest setting, which again I don't need for this particular shirt, but then you can just, unless I want to, of course, maybe roll it up higher than I normally would. I could go up even higher with that, and the elastic is going to keep it from being too loose where it's going to fall down. So with it buttoned just like this, I can roll it up, and it's a decent, it works good enough where I can just roll it and then pull it, and it stays in place pretty good. But this is an option too. If it fits good down here, maybe you want to roll it up above your elbow, and having it on that setting is going to make that easy to do. All right, well, I hope you found my little tip helpful, and just one more thing you can do to just make your life a little bit easier to modify your clothes. I'm always, even store-bought clothes, even though I make a lot of my own clothes, even ones I get from garage sales. Actually, I don't think I've bought clothes from a store in a long time because I either make them or I buy them at garage sales. But I have modified clothes a lot using techniques like this. You could use the same idea with the buttonhole if you want to add something to the bottom of your pants. Say you have some like sweatpants or that are just a straight leg, or some other pants, jeans that you like to wear out in the garden, your overalls, and maybe you need something to make it easy for tucking into your boots. You could just sew a button on one side and then take this buttonhole fabric or buttonhole elastic and sew a chunk of it in another place, and then be able to just pull it over and button it so it would bring the leg of the jeans in temporarily. You could even do that on the inside of the jeans if you wanted to, so it wouldn't show. So that's kind of the beauty of that one too. And that way it would make it easy to tuck into your socks, your boots or whatever, and it will stay in place. And so just think, there's the possibilities with something like this are endless, and all the things you can do. So I say it's worth it just to go ahead and buy a whole roll like this, and it's really pretty inexpensive. And I have enough here to last me quite a while. In fact, I've used quite a bit. I don't remember how big. I think it was like that big when I got it. I don't recall. It'll say when you go to the link how many yards it is, but it'll last you a long time, maybe, unless you have a lot of shirts and a lot of people that need modifications. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed this video and that you learned something new. Thanks for watching. Take care and God bless.